The 2014 TV movie Christian Mingle is a pseudo-holiday-themed romantic comedy that, as the title suggests, is centered around ChristianMingle.com, the dating site that operates under the divine purpose of finding those who are single and believe in Jesus Christ, and then charging them with a recurring membership fee every month until they either get married or die. If that's what the Lord is calling you to do, then so be it. But personally, I would rather just give up on marriage and eventually die for free. But that can't be said about our main character today, Gwen, played by Lacey Chabert, former mean girl and current patron saint of sappy storylines. In this film, she plays the fake fan of Jesus Christ who exaggerates how saved her soul is in order to find a husband, which eventually leads her on a wacky white savior adventure south of the border to the stereotypical small town of Mexico. Oh, and also it's Christmas sometimes. So buckle up to experience a screenplay that's even more unclear than God's plan for your future. And let your prayers be answered by a series of sad-looking set pieces, zero chemistry characters, and a pervasive theme of unironic Christian colonialism that makes even my lack of self-awareness feel introspective. Time to crack open your laptop and steal thy neighbor's Wi-Fi password, because we are surfing the net in search of Jesus's love on today's www.desperateforahusband.com installment of Clip Breakdown. Hello television viewers, my name is Nick. Thank you so much for joining me once again on my channel for another installment of Clip Breakdown. This is the playlist where we dive into our favorite movies, TV movies, and other such content here on the web, and we break it apart like my forehead creases are doing to this heavy foundation that I'm wearing currently. The movie San Andreas was an autobiographical piece written by my face skin, but on this show we break down those chunky segments of crackly skin into little BT tiny clips to look at each individual piece of content and decide, are you a rosary bead that I shall count my blessings upon, or just a list of reasons why I'm going to rot in hell? And today, mama, we are looking into Christian Mingle the movie, which was actually known by other titles in other countries, and that explains why it's sometimes a Christian movie and sometimes a Christmas movie, and sometimes they're the same, but also often not. But anyway, before we get into it, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turn on notifications, merch, a Patreon, and yeah, I'm wearing a lot of makeup today because A, I was procrastinating getting ready to shoot this, and B, I read some comments the other day asking why I had to act so high energy and paint my face pretending to be something other than a man. The answer is because I think gender is a construct invented by puritanical society to help oppress half of the population, and also just generally put people into boxes that don't exist. Don't ask questions. You either watch the video or you don't. Click thumbs up or thumbs down though, because that's either way a good thing for me. But anyway, we're about to delve into a movie that is sickly sweet and bloated with nonsense. You need to take care of yourself or it's gonna give you a toothache and indigestion, I know it. Luckily for me, I've been caring for my body to prevent these types of feelings with the sponsor of today's video, AG1. AG1 is a foundational nutritional beverage that I've been drinking every morning to care for my whole body health. It's my latest morning ritual that has a science-driven formulation to give my body the micronutrients, phytonutrients, and essential symbiotics that all of our bodies generally need to help support my healthy brain, gut, and immune system. I've been drinking AG1 first thing in the morning, and I feel like it really helps set me up to have a healthy day, and it just kind of seamlessly works into my morning. 1 scoop in the shaker bottle, shaka, shaka, shaka. The taste is so refreshing too. It's lightly sweet. I really get notes of pineapple in there, but there's like a vanilla-y background that kind of reminds me of like a pina colada, but much healthier. Over the last week, when I've been starting the day with AG1, I've noticed I'm inspired to kind of make healthier choices. Avocado toast, you know, lettuce, wrap. AG1 is NSF certified for sport. It's the gold standard for professional athletes who have to like really watch everything that they ingest to make sure that they're qualifying for whatever games they're playing. Even an Olympic athlete could drink this. If they can trust AG1, I can trust AG1 to help me not burp so much. Probiotics, prebiotics, and plant-based enzymes support digestion, regularity, and of course, gut health. This powerful mix of plant extracts, herbal adaptogenics, and a whole lot of antioxidants support support my metabolism so that I can have the mental clarity that I need to stay focused. Biotin, zinc, and other nutrients that I used to take in tablet form are crammed in here to help support healthy hair, skin, and nails. If you're like me and looking for a way to treat yourself to a new healthy habit, go to drinkag1.com/NickDeramio to get started on your order. AG1 is going to give my community a free 1-year supply of AG vitamin D3 and K2 and 5 AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Thanks to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. Fresh. Let's just start by looking at the beginning of this movie, which starts off by reminding me of a Philadelphia cream cheese commercial.
I thought I was looking for a guy to stick a ring on my finger, and along the way, something wonderful happened. I found him. That's him with a capital H.
I hate the whole him with a capital H thing. So you're saying, oh, suddenly conservative Christians can acknowledge special pronouns as long as they're for Jesus. Typical Nepo baby treatment. My dad works with computers. Do you think I get to come back from the dead 3 days after being murdered? Not likely. Boo! To the heavens! Also, this voiceover sounds like something Stephanie Germanotta would have written if she grew up rich in the South and became a mommy blogger and hadn't grown up rich in New York City to become Lady Gaga.
It doesn't matter if you love him or
Him with a capital H.
Anyway, then we zoom through a whole opening credits sequence that has a worship song, like a faith-based pop song, which to me are just like always, the vocals are too loud. Like, sister, you have an unidentifiable voice from someone who isn't special. Let's pull back that and bring up the instrumentals just for a moment, because I don't give a f about you. I do, however, care deeply about Gwyneth's whole sex life, whether she's getting pounded in the by Jesus or not. And she's not yet, because she's looking for a husband. As she just said, she was looking for someone to put a ring on her finger, and that exposed her to a whole slew of bad dates. Let's join one now.
I actually took a trip to France a couple of years ago. I don't know how, but you can eat anything you want there and not gain a pound. That is my kind of country.
Oh really, Gwyneth? It's your type of country when all of the people of France are permanently stuck at their birth weights and dangerously malnourished simply because their food is devoid of calories ever since that witch put a spell on the beast's castle? No. It's great to see characters like Gwyneth here on television who show the world that women are three-dimensional human beings. And those 3 dimensions are weight times height times hours of Emily in Paris watched, which equals out to her value as a person and ability to attract a man into marrying her. Suffice to say, this date that Gwen is on doesn't go well. The man actually ditches her to go talk to a hotter woman, which, I don't know about you, I would be committing arson. I would find like a bottle of half-drank well vodka, shove a rag in it, and light it on fire with my farts. Oh, peanut shells better be flammable so I can fart my fiery farts onto them. Ew, why? We're probably 3 minutes into the video and I'm talking about farting. This is like such heterosexual man behavior. Let me move forward. After her disastrous date, we get to see Gwyneth in her apartment, or at least we get to try to see.
This is our first Christmas as husband and wife, and we met on ChristianMingle.com.
We'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
You're right.
Joining is easy and free.
Hey, don't fault this movie for its product placement of the faith-based dating site called Christian Mingle. I'm sure making this sponsor part of the crucial plot point is only helping this production keep the lights on. I mean, not enough lights when it comes to this scene, but still, I can sort of see what's going on if I hold up an old-timey candlestick like Ebenezer Scrooge. Again, you'll notice that this is also a Christmas movie from time to time, even though the super important Christian holiday plays into the story far less than the expensive dating service for horny crucifix lickers. On IMDb, I read that this movie was actually titled Christmas Mingle in certain markets like Germany, but was changed to fully reflect their main sponsor's namesake, presumably to help improve its marketability year-round, because it was years apart before some of this movie got out to other countries. Also, I'm sure that level of deep integration also helped pay for this movie's wrap party, and at least half of Lacey Chabert's bedtime black eyeshadow budget. Good luck getting that off in the morning, pink eye. Anyway, let's follow our Gwyneth to her first day at work of the new year. She rides her bike to work, so that's how we know she's a good person. Wow, this must be a very progressive workplace. Did you see the ginormous GH on the wall? Most companies won't even let their employees have an in-office glory hole, let alone one that's so prominently advertised. This is why unionizing is a good thing. I reacted to the first act of this movie in an exclusive video with my Patreon community, and one of the comments from my patrons mentioned that the office interiors were clearly shot in the administrative area of some church that funded this movie. And now that's all I can see. Like, why is your coat hanger a crucifix? And why is your water fountain a big concrete bowl that old guys keep dunking babies into? I'm just wondering because it's ruining the vibe for all of our glory hole visitors. In comes Pam. That's the workplace bestie of our main character, Gwen, who asks about her date. Gwen is like, oh, it didn't go well. He apologized later because he never returned to our dinner table. I would be like, there is no apology for that. Either way, we get through context clues that Pam and Gwen both work at this advertising agency with, let's say, eccentric boss.
Everyone on the bridge in 5 minutes. Got big news, big news.
That would be me distracting the iceberg lookouts on the Titanic just so that I could gather a crowd and show them that I know how to do this. I got a ticket for the long way round. Remember Pitch Perfect? Oh. It's weird to me because more or less every character in this movie is at least somewhat based in reality, but then it looks like the big ad agency boss just swam ashore from the Sweet Life on Deck. I would count that among just one of many examples where the movie tries to add in a little bit of backstory or character detail, but never fully justifies it, so it just feels kind of strange and confusing. Plus, I don't like these Amazon Prime costume pieces that Aya also ordered for my gay cruise. It's just not believable. He looks like one of those guys who suddenly acts like he's really into boating for about 2 weeks, just so nobody asks questions when he plans a anniversary nighttime sailing trip and then returns saying that his wife mysteriously fell overboard. The timeline was short. Anyway, like any good friend who is also a very good stereotype and token, Pam offers some sage advice that we'll circle back to later.
You ever think it's the guys you're picking to go out? Maybe you're knocking on one door hoping another will open.
Thank you, Oprah.
Don't call me Oprah.
Gwyneth is like, of course, I'm just kidding. I know your name isn't Oprah, Rosa Parks, Octavia Spencer. No, Harriet Tub. You know what? Just come back a few scenes from now and support my hijinks. Thank you. Their boss reiterates that they're about to go into the pitch meeting for a very high-profile client who is selling a very unrealistic product that supposedly cures hair loss, which I don't know how she knows, but right off the bat, Gwen is like, there's no way you can cure that. It's like, well, just listen up, baby. Maybe they have FDA studies, but they don't. They don't, granted. But like, you could at least figure that out. Because apparently, Gwen is like, she's a marketer. She can come up with great ad campaigns and spin almost anything into a sellable product, even if it's garbage. But for some reason, something about men losing their hair, makes her feel uneasy. She doesn't want to sell a lie. I don't know why it couldn't be something important, like a charity that's helping Christian children that isn't actually, or it's supposed to be helping women cure breast cancer, but it actually makes it worse. I don't know. Why male hair loss? Probably just so they could make use of the boss from Seinfeld, who has like this perfectly coiffed hair, who plays the hair loss company owner. Either way, Gwen's not having it.
I can take almost anything, spin it into gold, and fool some of the people some of the time, but I don't care how you brand it, package it, or sell it. If God didn't give you hair, you ain't getting hair. End of story.
Yeah, exactly. I came into this world with a smooth ass and bald pussy, and that's exactly how I'm gonna leave. Period. Case closed. No further questions, Your Honor. And that's the kind of confidence you'll experience after visiting my affordable 5-star aspiring electrolysis center, using state-of-the-art equipment that I put together myself while huffing nitrous. So visit shockmesmoother.blogspot.freedomainnames.net and enter your credit card information today. At this point in the movie, Gwen has found a couple opportunities to mention God in an earnest enough way that at least implies she's somewhat of a firm believer in a monotheistic Christian deity. That's pretty much the extent of it. However, the title and trailer for Christian Mingle the movie had already led me to believe that she would eventually be using Christian Mingle to find a date. So at this point, upon first viewing, I was just assuming that the audience was meant to assume that Gwyneth was some sort of devout Christian. As it turns out, her character is actually meant to be more of a casual Christian of convenience. You know, someone who doesn't devote her whole life and personality to standing Jesus. In fact, the movie is actually about Gwyneth joining Christian mingle under the false pretense that she leads a 100% sexually repressed and God-fearing, shame-based lifestyle. But I don't feel like the script did enough to establish that before this point of the movie. Like, I could have used some verbal confirmation that her relationship with the Lord is pretty lax, something that we don't get until later in the movie after she makes her dating profile. I even thought I might have missed some of that dialogue since my attention was split between this movie and a bag of Wildberry Skittles. But then upon 2 more rewatches, I was sure this movie just didn't give me that kind of mental peace be with you and also with you that I was craving to fully understand what's happening. Gwen has a somewhat uncomfortable meeting with the CEO of this hair loss company and is basically told to get on board or get out. And then later that night, Gwen is in her cinematically underlit home, presumably squinting at the television and computer, just thinking about how lonely she is. And that's when she realizes, after watching a full-on Christian mingle commercial, that maybe that's her way to find a reliable man.
Let me offer this. Come however you are, as you heard sky falling apart.
Okay, the first thing I'll say is Christian music often has way too many words in it. These lyrics are like, all of these full sentences are about my favorite Bible. It's covered in leather. I'll read it forever in heaven. We get it, J.K. Rowling, but maybe music is different from prose. And I don't need a ticket to ride the conjunction junction function every single time you say a new line. Aside from that, do you see the too subtle storytelling that just happened? Once again, at this point, my attention span was completely ruined by Candy, as was my entire lifespan. So I missed the moment where her cursor hovered over the answer saying that she attended church once in a while before she changed her mind and exaggerated, and then scrolling down to say that she went every single week. I wouldn't mind this type of visual character choice. In fact, I would prefer it to straight up verbal exposition, but it's just not enough on its own. Like, I would use this moment to reinforce previous situations in the script that also help visually establish her not so religious lifestyle for the audience. And I wouldn't bury this important decision in a song with too many words when it's actually a pivotal moment, like the inciting incident for this character. I think crucial kind of situations like this in a movie need to be explicit, but not obvious. That way, someone who's like glancing away from the screen will still know what's going on 10 minutes from now. Maybe in the last portion of the movie, Gwyneth and her coworker were walking home from the office, and Gwen sees like, oh, my church is closing because the priest is retiring and they couldn't find anyone to take his place. And although she's all shocked, Pam is like, well, I mean, he mentioned it at every service since October. And did you not hear him say goodbye at midnight mass Christmas Eve? Because right now it's like the first day after Christmas. I know, they didn't say that either. But either way, Gwen could be like, Christmas Eve, oh, I think I worked late that night because the Bernstein account wanted to hear new pitches for their campaign by December 27th. Not only does that show us that, okay, yeah, she doesn't actually care about church as much as someone might, but also it lets us know about her character's priorities. She holds work as a higher value over her faith in God. Also, when she makes the decision to hover from, oh, I go once in a while to, oh, I go to church every day or whatever, why don't we get some suspenseful music and some camera work that helps let us know this is a big choice for her? She's like maybe morally conflicted about the whole lie. The movie should give weight to the moments that really matter most to the movie. I'm sorry if that's weird. It can't just bury this important character decision inside of a feel-good, fluffy shopping montage that we get throughout every other part. I can't determine when something is very important for the character when we're also skull with Secret Santa shopping montages throughout the rest of the whole thing. Ooh, let me write that down. Skull by Secret Santa. I'm writing a new holiday album full of original music that would upset my ancestors and will render me unemployable. I don't know what to title the album though. Please leave suggestions in the comments below. Skull by Santa, the remix. Anyway, in an attempt to land a Christian man, which at that point is like, so just be Christian then. Who, like, what? Anyway, she also goes to the store and like looks at Christianity for Dummies, and she, that's basically all of the research they show her doing. And then before you know it, she's on her first date. They didn't have time to show us some failed Christian dates where the person was like, I actually believe that I am Jesus Christ, and if I'm not hanging on the cross, I'm sleeping in a coffin. That would be funny. But no, we just meet Paul, our main love interest for the whole movie, although he's unlikable from the get when he's an hour or so late to the meeting or the date.
I'm sorry that I'm late. Hi, I'm Paul. Honestly, I'm just terrible with time management. I mean, Papa warned me it'll be my undoing.
Papa?
Oh, my dad.
Okay, that was strike 1, 2, and 3, sister side part. Thanks for coming by, and count yourself lucky that I never bought those brass knuckles that they sell at the store with the flavored rolling papers. Nothing says I have a troubling relationship with my family quite like using a childhood familiarity when talking about your parents to somebody who has never met them. It's the equivalent of when an adult says the word tummy to another adult. It's stomach, as in fill my stomach with your hot piss, because we're not in preschool anymore, and the word tummy makes that sentence sound jarring. I guess we're supposed to be watching Gwen fall in love with Paul throughout this very first love at first sight moment, but I'm like, he's not giving the chemistry that I feel like Lacey deserves on camera. He's like making decisions for her. He's smiling with his too many teeth.
Hey, how about a cookie?
Oh no, we don't do cookies. That's a double chain coming quicker than a freight train.
How about a cookie?
Salt.
She's thinking to herself, I guess my first instinct was correct. Finding a romantic partner will cure my eating disorder. How could you not believe in God if on her very first date, Mr. Fake Smile Cookie Pusher helped Gwyneth heal her unhealthy relationship with food by smugly insisting that she gets the over it. Anyway, we have a few repetitive moments in this movie, like where Gwyneth shows that she's not really an up-to-date Christian, because I mean, I would leave right now praying over their coffee and cookie, being like, shall we say grace? I love a cookie, I love a cookie. But it's a comedy, so naturally Gwen has to say the prayer, and she's like, cookies are so cookie, and I'm a cookie monster slut for Jesus. And it's like, oh no, Gwen, that's not the right thing you say in church. In fact, throughout this whole movie, she's really bad at improvising things on the spot, even though she was pretty much introduced as someone who was able to come up with a clever marketing campaign right on the spot. I think it would have been more interesting to watch her character be pretty good at marketing, right? Where she's like, I grab a mental image of that guy over there feeding the homeless, and then that guy biting a cookie, and she's like, I love feeding the homeless and biting cookie. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like something that shows she's good on her feet rather than comedically bad at improvisation. On my first viewing, this is where I'm finally understanding like, oh, she's not like a devout enough Christian to be on Christian Mingle, which again, I don't get why Christian Mingle decided to attach their name to this whole movie. If it seems like you need to be a certain level of Christian to even have success on their site, you would think they would just want to cast a wide net, but whatever. Pam is trying to explain to her why this doesn't seem right.
It's a very popular and legit dating website. Not to mention, it's Christian.
You're not Christian.
I was baptized, I went to Sunday school. I go to church sometimes.
Well, getting baptized and attending your older sister's funeral service doesn't cut it, glory hole. To call yourself a true Christian, you must also experience religious trauma at the hands of a nun, suffer from feelings of slut-shaming guilt after every breast self-exam, and be actively working to make Halloween less fun for the rest of us. Anyway, next up, Gwen like speaks to the CEO of the hair loss company, who she basically can tell is lying about the efficacy of the product. She also has these 4 friends who are like always on like a multi-person call. It feels very much like they're trying to copy Mean Girls. I don't remember a single thing any of them ever say to her, but they're like always like, this guy sounds dull. You should suck his and leave him, because they're not Christian like she wants to be. But anyway, she meets him on a first date, no, second date, but it's even worse than the first. They go to a sushi restaurant and he's like, oh, you know, I'm more used to eating chili dogs at the chili dog house. And he also explains that his whole family, his papa and his mama, work in a construction company that he also is an employee at, but he doesn't get his hands dirty. He does cost benefit.
Analysis mostly. feasibility reports on potential projects.
Oh, so you basically sniff out the stinkers.
I guess that's one way to put it.
An oversimplified and childish way that sort of makes it impossible for me to respect you as an intellectual equal, but yeah, sure. He said, I do feasibility reports. And she was like, ah, yes, so you tell people when their ideas are pee-pee poo-poo caca doo-doo. Like, okay, yeah, maybe we should have just made this into a play date with my younger cousin, because after saying that, I'm not even sure that I want to you anymore. She could have heard what his job was about and connected it to some meaningful interpretation that linked it to what she does in her job, where she's like, oh yeah, I get these bad ideas and it's my idea to make them work. And you know, I'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. And that's kind of like speaking to why she's going about this plan, and also connects like what they have in common with each other. Or she could be like, I get it, but do you ever feel like you can't talk back to your dad? Like, I have this client now who's selling this false product and I just don't know how to speak up against it. Then it shows like, okay, there's a B plot, some emotional development or character development that's happening in addition to her wanting to get married, but they don't touch that. They don't touch that. That's my idea. Trademark it. Anyway, he's childish and has an underdeveloped palate, and he tries to eat tuna and she's like, you can't eat tuna.
You are gonna actually have to swallow at some point.
Oh, not exactly sure what just happened.
You just chewed that poor tuna to death is what happened.
I'm afraid it's time for me to undermine your joke, Glory Holina, because that poor tuna was already dead before he chewed it. I hate it when screenwriters think that audiences will interpret anything being said in a deadpan tone as an actual punchline. I'm so nervous. Am I sweating a lot? Only as much as Niagara Falls. That's not funny. It's just a basic simile with a laugh track added on. And this doesn't even have the laugh track. Gwen could have been like, the tuna is already dead. You don't need to make it into tartar with your teeth. Furthermore, it's been said multiple times on this channel, I don't like it when actors pretend to be drinking a non-existent liquid out of an empty cup. So imagine the diatribe that I can and I'm about to subject you to about fake food and artificial chewing. You know what? I'll spare you. I'm just gonna add another 2 weeks to my acting course, which I've entitled, Just Do It Normal, your theater degree won't help you here. I'm gonna have to write all new curriculum about how to eat fake food on camera without making it seem like you have pubic hair stuck in your teeth, sir. No, I am not an award-winning actor, but look at me right now. I'm pretending to eat, and you would never even guess how much pubic hair I have in my teeth. Bushels and bushels of it right in my mouth. It's a super important skill for anybody working in Hollywood who also sucks for breakfast. Oh, and by the way, if you're not sucking for breakfast, then are you really working in Hollywood? Oh, that's what I thought. And yes, I am available for both book deals and endorsements for floss brands. So anyway, Gwen lands herself a third date with this Christian who thinks she's also the Christianiest Christian, even though her name's not even Kristen. She gets ready for a Bible study with some of his married friends by memorizing key Bible verses on the internet. Only the most inappropriate ones though, because then we have this. He's like, they're married, they're pregnant, and that's the girl I f***ed in high school. And she's like, okay, got it. Married, baby, f***ed her in high school.
Marriage, that's just, I mean, it actually reminds me of one of my favorites. Because of the temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife.
The reason everyone looks so confused is because Gwyneth is quoting the English Standard Bible. The King James version of that verse is a little different. It goes, men are allowed to f*** any hole, but only after they get married to it. May peace be with you. By the way, I hate it when a script is so messy that it doesn't even make sense grammatically. That's how you know nobody rewrote this enough. She said, oh, you're married. That reminds me of one of my favorites. One of your favorite what's? Glory of God hole? Sentences always need a subject, just like your neck always needs a terrible scarf. By the way, Gwen has mentioned several times, I think twice now, that she hates being called Gwenny because someone who made fun of her in summer camp called her Gwenny. And then this woman, Kelly, who's like, I'm gonna suck his dick. She was Paul's friend from summer camp, and she immediately calls Gwen Gwenny. And Gwenny's like, I don't mind, I like being called Gwenny. And Paul's like, you should just be yourself. I like Gwen better than Gwenny. And Gwenny's like, you can suck my neck. So after that hoity-toity sushi date, they go to the chili dog house or whatever. They eat chili dogs. And that's when Paul kind of divulges more about his mother, who really wishes he was married by now and likes Kelly, that girl who called her Gwenny, as like a potential mate, and honestly would prefer her over anyone who's non-Christian.
So what's the deal with Kel?
She's practically like a sister.
The kind of sister that you have sex with at church camp? Waiter, can I get a to-go box for these curly fries? I'm not saying Paul's a liar, but there is an unspoken chemistry between him and Kel that makes me uncomfortable, and I don't even feel invested in this movie. But on the walk home, we get to learn a little bit more and fall into deeper love with Paul, who expresses the driftwood moment. His father started believing in Jesus when he saw Jesus' face in some driftwood or some shit, and the family calls it a driftwood moment when you come to Jesus. And that's a similar thing that happened to Paul when he had this science experiment as a kid that honestly couldn't feel further from Christ in my eyes.
When I was 13, I built this maze for mice to run through. In one cage, I had flashing red lights and headbanging music, and in the other one, I had soft blue light and classical music. My hypothesis was...
Your hypothesis was what? That your Christian Caucasian boy facade would help you get away with torturing animals? I guess the experiment was a success. First of all, my brain completely shuts off when people start telling stories that they think are fascinating from high school. Like, ooh, look at me. I didn't repress all of the memories I had from adolescence. I grew up in a house with wall-to-wall carpeting, probably. But Gwen here is mentally ill in a different way than I am. Apparently, because she's already looking for the sign-up sheet to be in the human trials for Paul's next loud music and flashing lights experiment. He played flashing lights for a box of mice. Like, sweetheart, please run away. That man probably wants to sew together prison inmates for science. But of course not. Gwen is like, oh my god, I think Paul wants to go all the way with me. Which in this case means squirting chemicals in my eyes to try and turn them blue. Not the Kevorkianism. But anyway, the mice were supposed to find the cheese in the box regardless of their mental state at the beginning. So it's like, cheese is the Jesus, the cheeses, and the mice are you rat-faced bitch. And she's like, oh, yeah, I will take that in my pussy. I can't talk like that on YouTube. They put monetized things on here. Anyway, I'm not showing you any of the scenes with dumbass and her friends. They're always like, wait, you're pretending to go to church now? And she's like, I'm not. I go to church sometimes. And she gets dressed and she goes to church with the family. It's time to meet the parents.
Nice to meet you.
Aw, look everybody. It's Casey Anthony getting ready for her first day of trial. They escalate to infanticide so quickly. Mama, that skirt makes it look like you're participating in a sack race. Jesus did not die so that every day could be field day. But every day is church day when you're f***ing Paul, because they like go to church, which by the way is meant to be a Christian church, but you can tell it's a Catholic church because they have Jesus hanging from the cross, and most Christian churches would just have the cross itself. I don't know that shit. IMDb told me. Anyway, let's meet the parents. The dad is played by David Keith. He was like the cowboy in The Indian in the Cupboard. I don't know what else. It's not my job to know. Oh, and the mom is played by Morgan Fairchild, who was a soap opera star from The Days of Our Lives. I like her the best out of this whole thing because she's mean and pretty.
How do you feel about steak and cake? We're all going there.
Don't tell me you've never had steak and cake.
Oh, are you in for a treat? Have you met R. Kelly?
First, the medical experimentation, and now Paul's mom wants to introduce Gwen to R. Kelly. Gwen, you better run screaming from that church right now before Morgan Fairchild tries to make you into R. Kelly's prison wife. Oh, she said our Kelly, as in Kelly, that dirty blonde bitch, Paul's sexually experienced sister from church camp. I still don't love that dynamic, but it is an improvement. They said, oh, you gotta come with us to Cake and Steak, Steak and Cake, but I think it's supposed to be like Steak and Shake, only at this restaurant, it's horribly decorated and they only sell steak and cake. That's when Morgan Fairchild's character, the mom, she's like, oh, did Paul tell you yet? We're going to Mexico for a long, long time. Not just us, but also Kelly, the girl he wants to sometimes on the side. And obviously Gwen is like, what? I'm fine, but what? And they're like, yeah, so we're gonna go help fix up this church in Mexico that fell down because of a hurricane. Specifically, a church bell that fell down during the storm, and it's like their godly duty to fix it. It's like, that's not feeding anybody.
Came across this beautiful little town. Evidently, they hadn't really recovered since Hurricane Wilma struck. Their church crumbling.
Exactly how long does it take to rehang a bell?
As long as it takes.
Okay, but how long will it take? I gotta say, it sounds like the plan for your 12-person family to fix one single bell is a little open-ended. How many white saviors does it take to hire a crane operator for 6 hours? These people are acting like it's their duty to teach all of the people in Mexico the general basics of modern construction and architecture. They know how to build buildings, you just have to pay for it. Oh, also when we get there, the women of the family are for some reason also going to teach Mexico how to speak English. They never mention a specific place in Mexico, it's just Mexico. I don't think anybody in that country wants to hear the concept of past participles explained by Kelly over here, who doesn't even know how to cut her own food. Baby girl, that fake eating is truly some of the worst we've ever seen on screen. I guess I have no choice but to provide this whole cast with a crash course inspired by my acting lesson. Just do it normally, your theater degree won't help you here. Okay, everybody get changed into movement ready clothing and meet me in the empty theater. Me. All right, everybody, welcome to class. Today, we'll be exploring the art of not acting like you're in a stage play when you're not acting in a stage play. Kelly, you need to actually make contact between your silverware and the fake food that's sitting on the table. I know that the steak and the cake are making up an unappetizing meal of all brown, and yes, it does sort of seem like the whole family is feasting on piles of dog shit, but it's your job as an actor to bring that to life. So, bring that disgusting little story to life, you shitting clown. Okay, for our next exercise, I would like all of the men in the cast to form a circle and start French kissing each other. I'll tell you why after I decide why. So after, we have some righteous indignation, both from Gwen, who's like, I can't believe he never told me that he's going to Mexico and he still got into this casual 3-date relationship with me. And then the mom, whose name is, I wanna say Lacey. The mom Lacey is like talking to Paul on the phone being like, I think she's not everything that she seems to be. I think, Mom, you have so much root powder in your hair, trying to make yourself 3 inches taller. I don't want to hear about fake shit. He denies it. He's like, no, she's great. She's great and she loves Jesus just as much as I do. She cries at night begging for Jesus to take her life, just like I do. And just as Gwen is complaining to her friend, like, oh, this is so hard, pretending to be a fundamentally different person with different beliefs than I thought. I can't believe this is the only person on the planet worth dating. The boss comes in with his captain's hat that, I mean, makes it impossible to take him seriously, and is like, good news, time to give your pitch to the hair loss people. And it's like, oh, she's been so preoccupied with trying to impress Douglas or whatever that she didn't even think about work. Like, what has she been doing for 8 hours a day for the last 3 weeks? Anyway, she tries to make up the pitch on the fly for the hair loss company. Doesn't go great.
We are going to kill baldness with the blue bullet. Men being men, they want to destroy the enemy, right? We are going to kill it.
Those two office gays were like, girl, what even is this idea you're presenting? The whole movie we heard Gwyneth being like, I can take any idea and spin it into gold. I can market just about anything, that's why I'm the best. Then for these hair loss pills, she's like, introducing the open shooter baldness bullets of follicle genocide. They will slaughter the hairless scalp of someone you love while you stand there screaming. Like, okay, sis, we're gonna ask you to bring your stuff into work inside of a clear backpack from now on, because that was weird. Naturally, I don't know why they went with bullets for this whole thing. It's like screenwriters, you can think of anything. You can think of anything. Don't go with the first thing if the first thing you think of is like super distractingly off color. It just feels like the wrong tone of this movie. Like the tone of her humor is never quite right because it's a serious Christian film and sometimes she's like, sexually explicit pedophilia is granted in heaven. It's like, girl, what? What network did this play on? The goddamn 12 Kids and Counting? Oprah Winfrey. I'll stop associating names to it. Anyway, the boss is like, sweetheart, you better shape up or ship out because that was the worst idea anyone in this company's ever heard. And she's like, oh, damn it. I could have sworn talking about bloody bullets and shooting kids in the face was the way to go. Men being men, they love stomping on skulls and kicking me in the but no, they don't. They don't even like you a little bit. So wanting to take a break from this job that's falling apart, she calls Paul and she's like, I'll go with you. Or no, he calls her and he's like, come with me. And she's like, I'll go with you. And she packs up to go to Mexico to meet them for this missionary trip of fixing churches, which she somehow misconstrues to mean like a Puerto Vallarta beach vacation, which is why she shows up in her ankle-length skirt. And everyone there is like, oh, you're dressed like for the beach, even though it's like, you're dressed for a choir concert. And all these like under older privileged kids run up and they're like, "We love you, Mrs." And she's got like a t-shirt on over her dress being like, "This is not what I thought. Will you cover for me at work?" And the friend at work is like, "What do you mean? What am I supposed to say?" But you know, the town is in shambles apparently from a hurricane that happened months ago, as though Mexico doesn't have its own government. I'm aware there are underdeveloped and underserved parts of Mexico, but like, why is there not a specific place mentioned in Mexico? It just feels a little tone deaf, a little racist. Yeah, let's go with that. It's a little bit racist. Oh yeah.
Just given everything that's happened, like devastation, everyone just seems so okay.
I'm just so inspired by these poor, uneducated, barefoot, and dirty-faced fictional people of fictional Mexico. I mean, they have unpaved sidewalks and their Bibles are written in Spanish. How are they even living? I don't know. I think both of those things are fine, and right now their main issue is the gaggle of gringos that took over their town this evening and are now lighting a fire in the middle of the street and playing acoustic guitar worship music while everyone else is trying to sleep. Like, I know this is all about you, Swiss Family Robinson, but some of these citizens of the village of Mexico need to work in the morning. They can't just roll out of bed and stare at a broken church bell all day wondering if it will take 6 months or a full year to fix. By the way, this movie was shot not in Canada, as many are on the Hallmark Network, but in California, where they have, frankly, a lot of kind of like, I don't know, there's sometimes abandoned towns, there's sometimes towns that were built for Westerns in the past, or just as tourist attractions that you can rent out, and it's like a whole old Western style, Puebla style town where you can shoot your movie. And that's clearly where they're shooting this. They're like out in Simi Valley or something to make this movie in like a $300 a day location. Not a bad thing. I'm just saying it doesn't look like a lot of Mexico is very much developed with a CVS and a charging station at the airport. Like, what is this? Either way, the next day you can tell Gwen is feeling out of place because she didn't dress like she wasn't getting ready to drink a pina colada. She forgot she was building a church, which is very much what they told her. But also, they're not building a church. If you're a woman, you're teaching the kids English, because apparently that has something to do with getting their church back up and standing. It was really gross the way they talk about it at the restaurant. They're like, this whole town basically gave up. They gave up on the Lord because their buildings fell over. It's like, so you think that teaching them English is somehow bringing them back into Jesus' light? That feels problematic, but go off.
Maria.
Si Dios es amor y nos ama, ¿por qué nos hizo algo tan terrible a nuestro pueblo?
That's a very good question, Maria. Gwyneth, would you like to take a crack at it?
I wasn't listening. Did she just say that little girl was a crack addict? All right, Gwen, you heard the huge hair lady. You gotta take that little crack addict out back and save her soul from the devil. Nobody said missionary work was glamorous or humane. This whole conversation is a mess. And Lacey, the matriarch of this group from the Church of Perpetual Salon Quality Blowouts, is so shady for putting Gwen on the spot like that. Like, bitch said I speak Spanish. Who said it? And why does she respond to a question in full Spanish in perfect English? And how is any of this helping to rebuild a church? The movie makes it seem like Gwen not understanding Spanish fluently is a dead giveaway that she's a fake Christian. And Lacey is just raking her over the coals with it, making her feel inferior to Kelly. Meanwhile, that little girl was just wondering why a loving God would allow such a hurricane that knocked over a church steeple and crushed her grandmother. And Gwen just has to sit there like, yo no sé, Maria. Maybe God wants you all to speak English. And you, Lacey. I took AP Spanish in high school, but I haven't had a chance to practice since then because I have no Latino friends. Oh, by the way, when Gwen was getting ready to rush out to that class this morning, she dumped out her suitcase and out fell her Christianity for Dummies book that she bought when she was pretending to be Christian all those scenes ago. And that night, while the dad is playing the acoustic guitar and singing, which, by the way, for some reason ties into when Paul met her on the first night and was like, I wanted to be a rock star as a young kid. And she was like, but you didn't, because you didn't follow your dreams. And he was like, oh, I followed my dad's footsteps. So I guess we're supposed to get like he followed his dad's footsteps and his dad followed his dad's footsteps. Really underdeveloped plot point, but either way, you busted, Gwyneth.
You're not really a believer, are you?
I'm Christian. I believe in God. I was baptized. All of that stuff. Where did you find that? Did someone go through my stuff? Because that's
one of the kids found it when they were cleaning out the bunkhouse.
Which kid was it, Paul? No, tell me. Was it that Maria, your mother's Spanish language little lackey? She'll take orders from anyone over the age of 60 trying to replace her precious, covered in debris abuelita. ¿Dónde estás, Maria? Ven afuera! I got something to show you since you miss your grandmother so much. Gwen is pretty heartbroken that she was caught lying, so she's like, do you want me to just leave? You don't want to marry me even though my whole personality was fake that you knew about? And though she leaves and back at work, the friend, Pam, is like, I told our boss that you had strep throat, so that that's why you were gone. And she's like, all right, well now I gotta get back to work. And then she's getting her bike fixed. The kindly bike fixing guy says something nice about Christianity in regards to the Christian Mingle commercial that comes back on. It's like, okay, and that's a wrap on Christian Mingle, the main sponsor of the movie, and also the title of the movie, and also the reason this movie exists. So worth it, so worth it. Then Lacey Chabert, playing Gwyneth, goes into the captain boss's office and is like, I used to think I was so good at selling fake stupid shit, but now I can't do it anymore. It feels fake. So she quits her job, and when she's walking home, she sees a church that says everyone's welcome, and she goes inside to find what? Happy music? Less shame-based oppression? Ooh, we can probably pray here.
Give it all back to me.
I know the sign out front said everyone welcome, but I didn't think that meant they would allow Out of Rhythm Andy Dick to get up and start flailing around in the church choir. Sir, we do welcome you to take a seat in the audience. Because right now you're stressing out the freshly baptized babies with those unstructured claps in a Z formation. Bring it on back to him. But this leads us into a montage where even though she's no longer on the ins with Paul or his awful family, she is finding a place of comfort and joy within Jesus' arms. Good job standing your ground when that person in need was staring you down like that, Gwen. In true Christian fashion, she established dominance with a smile. A smile that says, God has already blessed me. I have nice teeth and unlimited warm weather accessories from TJ Maxx. God should bless you. Old man, you're eating rice out of a warming tray in a group setting. Get the out of here. And that's how you know she's really becoming Christian. I'm just kidding. I don't really hate Christians, for the record, just the certain kind that make movies, I guess. Anyway, after this whole montage, it's clear that Gwen is really starting to enjoy Christianity for reasons other than what it could do for her and her pussy.
But you seem like you were so against the whole mingle thing.
I wasn't. I told you it was for Christians looking for other Christians who wanted to share a true love for Christ. And no matter what you may think, you're not quite there yet.
Okay, way to gatekeep the kingdom of heaven, Saint Pamela. Gwen here has been going to a non-denominational church for the better part of one faith-based upbeat musical montage. Who are you to say that her love of Christ isn't true? What else does she need to do for your approval? Get gangbanged by the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost? Because she's been trying to set that up, but it's really hard since they're all on different work schedules. Apparently, Pam is a devout Christian, but Gwen had no idea, even though that's her best friend in the non-white coworker category. Pam says that's because it's not in her style to wear the cross or push her beliefs on other people, at least not until she takes it upon herself to be the arbiter of whether another follower of Jesus's love is true enough to enter dating site made for Christians. Do you have one of those little figurines up your one of those little figurines where he's sticking his arms out? Because until then, don't reactivate your account. But I guess Gwen takes that to mean she needs to go apologize to Paul for her misgivings, her misdeed of lying about even knowing who the Jesus is.
For the first time, I have this sense of purpose.
Wow.
Do you mind us coming in? Oh, Gwyneth.
Hi, Gwenny.
Don't call her Gwenny. She goes by Gwen, Gwenifer, or Big G, our brother in Christ. Although she's having trouble getting that nickname to stick with the band members at her new church, it's gonna happen. And as for you, Paul, I hope you're happy in this toxic relationship with this nice woman who shares most of your beliefs and who has known you for years, that your family approves of, and that never made up an elaborate lie to base a marriage off of. Just go, I'll be fine. After I forge some letters in your handwriting that create some national threats and get the SWAT team to interrupt your wedding ceremony. Bring it on back to me. I'm a radical Christian. I'm gonna make you sorry. Bring it on back to me. I learned that at the Welcome Everyone church. This is not Gwen's final stand though, so she calls a meeting with Paul, who has now forgiven her and sees that she's really trying to follow Christ. And Gwen makes the bold choice of saying like, Kelly seems great, but that we don't love her like you love me.
Kelly's a great girl, and you know what? God's probably gonna like unload about 40 days and 40 nights of rain on me for saying all of this. Be your own man.
I don't think it's a good idea that we see each other anymore. I'll pray for you.
Oof, you know she's embarrassed by that. She wore her sexiest tweed overcoat and slid into Paul's Sunday services singing a break up with your girlfriend. Yeah, yeah, for the Lord. And he literally said, I don't wanna f with you anymore. And I'm not even angry. I just feel bad. And I hope there's some way God still lets you into heaven after all of this. Good. I'm gonna pray for your sick, diseased soul. Goodbye. Oh, baby girl, I bet now you wish you had just sent all of that over Facebook Messenger. That was mortifying. She's probably sitting there like, now I know how little Maria felt. This is just like when she had her entire town destroyed. Si Dios es amor, then why do all of these men in slacks who I want to rail me keep abandoning me on an outdoor bench? The Lord works in mysterious ways, Gwyneth. Now it's time for our low point for little old Gwen here. The third act conflict is her heartbreak, and also maybe some other issues.
I was kidding about the 40 days. I don't even have a sense of humor.
What is going on here? Is she experiencing heartbreak or opioid withdrawals? This is why you can't go to bed wearing that much eyeliner, glory hole. Now you look like Mimi from the third act of Rent. Despite this sad thing and her smudgy eyes, Gwen wakes up and it's like, she's gonna talk to God and try to work this all out. You know, her faith is shaken but not stirred.
So we started a conversation.
Leave me alone!
Wow, that was very literal. I didn't know God was just some kind of bitchy ghost. Mama, don't argue with him, because if he can blow your curtains in like that, he can also give you a brain aneurysm. Do you remember when he got in a fight with that guy Lot from the New Testament? Daughters killed. Wife, salty pillar. Complexion ruined by bloody pustules. Do you really want to deal with that rude makeup artist at MAC who acted disgusted by your dry skin? Imagine asking him to conceal your open wounds while your teeth are falling out and your hair is on the ground. He's gonna eat you alive, sis. You're not ready. But time heals all wounds, and so does the US Postal Service when Gwen gets a letter from a certain little Spanish-speaking girlito. Sorry, I forgot the word for chica.
Dear Senorita, my sorry for my English not so good. God made us stronger. Sorry again for my English, Maria.
Aw, dear Maria, how the did you get my address? That is so sketchy, just like your Italian accent, when you are supposed to be from the entire country of Mexico. If you ever write me again, I will come back and knock down that church tower another time, just so I can watch you scream and cry in the dirt road with your broke family. May God have mercy on your soul, your brother in Christ, glory hole. But no, of course, Maria, this horribly stereotypical little girl from Mexico, who also has a Southern California accent during some parts of that sentence, convinces Gwyneth to like abandon this whole caring about marriage thing. And she goes to Mexico for apparently a full year, because then we flash forward. Oh, thank you, lower third titles that the movie has never utilized one time before this. I almost forgot this was a Christmas movie, because it's not. Regardless, we meet Gwenny during Christmas season, and she's been teaching English to these kids who didn't need to learn English, and that's a good thing.
I would like to see snow and make a snow angel from heaven.
Again, you sort of dropped that Mexican-Italian accent during the word heaven, so congratulations. It seems like the Christian missionaries who are trying to save your soul by erasing your culture have really started to make a difference, Maria. And that's when the door bursts open and another stereotypical child runs in.
Es necesario que vaya a la iglesia, ahorita.
English, please, Eduardo, and slow down, por favor.
To go to the church, you must go now. Hurry.
Gwen, you've been teaching English in Mexico for almost a full year. How are you still that bad at Spanish? And why does this movie make it seem like all of Mexico's socioeconomic hardships stem from their refusal to adopt English as their national language? Like, this terrified kid just interrupted Gwen's class to give her urgent news, and she's like, Eduardo Sombrero, I'm not going anywhere until you can say my favorite food is a Junior Whopper from Burger King without rolling any of your R's. But I guess he does that because she starts running in our last suspenseful sequence to the church, La Iglesia, as Eduardo asked her to. And I'm like, what could be happening right now? What could be happening? Is there an emergency? Is there another storm coming? But no, as soon as she gets into the church, we have this happen.
Paul, you look great. What are you doing here?
Truth, I'm not really sure. If you're looking for Kelly, she's not with me. Not here or here.
Gwen is like, Wait a minute. Did you break up with your girlfriend and then bribe little Eduardo to have me run over here in a panic just so that I could see you don't wear hair gel anymore? Why? I literally thought he was gonna tell me that the church was on fire, or someone had seen those European tourists who had kidnapped his sister a few months ago. But no, Paul is like, I made the mistake. I'm the stupid idiot for going with the woman who was nice and truthful to me. And she's like, oh good, let's kissy, kissy, kissy. Meet all of my students.
Come home to you, the love of God, and love is never.
Why is a close-up on that primitive sign the final shot that they chose to fade to black on? Was that supposed to be the main message of this movie? The word school? I guess that would make sense if Gwen had mentioned that her real dream was not to go into marketing, but to teach children, but her parents said that would be more lucrative to do advertising. Because then it's like kind of something that she would have in common with Paul. But no, her whole thing was fighting for the right to get laid using christianmingle.com, which again was not well incorporated into this movie. We saw it twice. As the titular sponsor of the movie, you would think it would end the scene showing some beautiful, fully Americanized Mexican woman using some sort of Flintstones computer to access christianmingle.mx so that she too could find her own amor de Dios. But we don't care about Mexico. They served their purpose. Let's go back to our main couple and more importantly, Gwen wrapping this up with a voiceover bow.
Now I'm pretty sure I don't know anything. Except Jesus is there for us. And Mr. Right, you just have to reach into your heart and discover what's true.
Yes, look inside and there you'll find the main pillars of Christianity. Speaking perfect English, colonialism, and Americanized, overly commercial Christmas traditions, of which you can find many all season long on the Hallmark Network. Feliz Navidad, from our glory hole to yours. Hit it! That's enough. You think I'm gonna let Universal Music Group have that fucking copyright claim? Good night, America. Because that's all she wrote for Christian Mingle the movie. Thank you so much for getting into the non-Christmas spirit with me. Muchas gracias. What did you think of this one? Do you pick up on the colonial stench? Or are you like one to be like, oh no, Lacey Chabert, she can do no wrong. She does her own makeup, which is something I've read. Anyway, let me know in the comments below. Also, give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more Lifetime clip breakdowns like this. But most importantly, if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right over here. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week. Ed Dose. Turn on notifications and you'll always be the first to know when I'm beautiful in my way. I made a video today. I'm uploading it to YouTube. Watch it or you are gay. Ooh, I don't know what came over me that time. Also, I've got merch, merch and a Patreon where you can access exclusive bonus episodes and virtual watch parties. You guys are all the greatest. Thank you so much for helping me fix my church bell today. I will see you next time.